Hi, this is Stephen from Own or Disown. Well, you may recall I purchased a pre-built CyberPower PC from Best Buy with an i9 10900K and an RTX 3080. Now, if you haven't seen that video, you make sure you click up here to find out what that was like. But to suffice it to say, the 4 fans that were in it were set up poorly and did not cool the system well at all. Now, initially, I bought 7 120mm NZXT fans and an X73 water cooler to solve this problem, but I was contacted by Global Eye Mall to see if I could test their 120mm GIM RGB fans. Now, they do come in a pack of 3 for $34 on Amazon, but they also include a fan controller, a remote control and instructions. And in my case, I also needed a single fan which sells for $8. As for the specifications, they use a hydro bearing with a rated lifespan of 20,000 hours, and each fan is rated to move about 33 CFMs of air and has about 23.5 decibels of noise. Now at idle, the 4 default fans were at 43 decibels, but these 7 GMI fans were much louder at 70 decibels. And lowering the fan speed did lower the overall tone a little bit, but the overall volume was similar. And under load, the fans were still at 70 decibels, compared to 53 for the default fans. Now, max fan speed is 12,000 RPM, but you can use the remote control to lower the speeds. And they have 2 levels before they actually turn off. Now, unfortunately, there is no software to see what speed they are actually spinning at. So, you can't really gauge what speed they are at, unless you do have, like I have here, a transparent window to look through. Now, each fan has 9 blades, which are thicker and look more robust than the cheaper CyberPower fans. Now, you do have a large rubber pad that surrounds the screw holes, and they do well to dampen any vibrations. Also, there is an RGB ring around both sides of the fan, so you can actually see their lighting regardless of which way you actually mount the fans into the system. Now, each fan connects into the controller box. There is no separate fan header to directly connect them to the motherboard, and you can actually attach 10 fans to the controller. Plus, there are 2 ports for LED strips. Power is fed by a SATA connector, whilst communication with the motherboard is done via the RGB sync cable, which has a 3-pin VDG connector for some gigabyte motherboards and a 4-pin connector for the remainder. You can control the fan lighting when connected to the 5V Aura port, and they say it is compatible with Aura Sync, Gigabyte Fusion and MSI Mystic Light Sync, although I didn't try that out. It was very easy to install my 7 fans. I had 2 in a push-pull setup for the 120mm water cooler that CyberPower had installed. I installed 2 fans at the top of the case to draw hot air out, and I had 3 intake fans, 2 on the side and 1 at the front. Now, the remote control has many options, including changing the fan speed. You have a DIY mode, changing control of the RGB lighting speed, and auto mode that lets the fan cycle through various preset colours and effects, or you can actually manually switch between these many effects and keep the one you like best. You can alter the brightness of the RGB lighting, or just pick white, blue, green or red. The remote was responsive and it was easy to use. At the bottom are 3 options for the fans to respond to music coming through the speakers, but unfortunately mine did nothing at all, even when maxing out the audio sensitivity of the fans using the speed plus button on the remote control. Nevertheless, I was very happy with the ease of control, the range of options available, and they certainly added some nice bling to my case. Now granted, having 7 fans is a bit loud unless you have some decent speakers or you use headphones. But how effective were they in cooling my system down? Well, the first thing I noticed was that the glass side panel used to be hot to the touch, but after the install, it was cool. Finally, the system was moving air nicely. Here is Far Cry New Dawn, and on the left is the original fan setup by CyberPower, and on the right is with these new GIM fans. The CPU is some 30 degrees cooler, and the RTX 3080 is also about 10 degrees cooler, so all in all, that is great. Now the same for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. With the default fans, the 10900K CPU would get up to about 92 degrees Celsius, but was using about 109 watts to run at 4.9 GHz. But with the new fans, it was holding the same boost clock of just 99 watts with a peak temperature of about 72 degrees. The RTX 3080 is running about 6 degrees lower. So certainly in a workload that uses both the CPU and the GPU, such as in gaming, just switching the fans makes a world of difference. Now however, in a workload that works the CPU hard, like a handbraking code, where we're pushing over 200 watts to the CPU, even after the fan replacement, the CPU was hitting 95 degrees Celsius. And the max overclock I could get was about 5 GHz on all cores with a 40 millivolt undervolt, which saw the same temperatures, but a slightly quicker result, shaving off about 22 seconds. Now when I install the X73 cooler, I'll see how much further I can push that 10900K. And running the blended classroom benchmark, the 10900K was running at 90 degrees after the fan replacement, but applying a 40 millivolt undervolt did see a 6 degree reduction, which is the best I can do with this 120mm cooler that's CyberPower PC installed. As for Geekbench 5, stock settings saw a single core score of 1354 points and a multi-core score of 9705. And with all cores set at 5 GHz, this improved to 1381 and 9910 respectively. Now the astute of you will have noticed I also include the score from the new Ryzen 9 5900H that we will see in laptops. 1520 single score and 9325 points multi-core, which is amazing that we'll see 10900K performance in a laptop next year. So to conclude, I really like these fans, and I will actually be keeping them in even when I switch out the 120mm cooler. Now my only wishes were that they had some software to check the fan speeds and that the music options actually worked. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.